I had a lot of math in high school and college, and then trig, and then calculus, and a lot of other stuff that I've completely forgotten because it's totally useless unless you go into specialized fields. The one thing they didn't teach us in high school and college, they didn't teach it to you either, because you would have had to have been a Platonist and study ancient metaphysics, is that math doesn't explain anything. Let's think about that. And I'm not a person that hates math either, by the way. Math quantifies things. It doesn't even qualify them, much less explain them. It is so much fun talking to postgrads and professors, and especially people at physics.org. There are these idiots that will drone on. It's like you ask them a question, they'll give you a formula. And that's fine if you want to quantify things. However, it doesn't explain anything. Here's just two important things you need to remember before we get into the elaboration. Is that descriptions are not explanatory. Well, this is something that is 2 inches by 3 inches. It has 3 optical elements and aspherical at -2 diopters plus 5. Yeah, that's a description. That's not an explanation. An explanation is that this is an AR-coded LCD loop. What it does is this, this, and this. When you hold it here, it does this, and the reason you use it is because blah, blah, blah. That would be an explanation, okay? Math is about quantifying everything. You ever heard of the old saying that someone knows the price of everything and the value of nothing? Yeah, it's like some people literally, if they can't quantify it, it doesn't even exist to them. It's like all the important stuff in the world, like love, fields, energy, these have no quantifications. People don't even understand what those principles mean. It's like all the important stuff in the universe cannot be quantified. Everything is fields, and fields are not particles, by the way. People say, well, sure we can. We can quantify fields. We've got 4 Maxwellian field equations. Everybody should be familiar, because that's the one thing every asshole in science, and science actually is not science anymore, not in the original denotation. It is a religion of atomism. As I call it the cult of bumping particle. Cult of bumping particles. So yeah, we got the 4 Maxwellian field equations that describe electromagnetic theory of the Maxwellian. Yeah, no. The 4 Maxwellian field equations describe effects over time given a vector. In other words, like the only way we can actually describe something is change over a period of t, time, with x effect. This is so important and people don't realize it, because anytime you start discussing, now scientists hate this too, because I have every book ever written on magnetism. You think that's egotistical? You can kiss my damn ass, because it's the truth. I wrote the book on magnetism. I can actually say I wrote the book on magnetism and am still writing the book on magnetism in the 4th edition. You'll say, no, science never defined a field. What? Sure they have. No, they never did. Science has no idea what magnetism is or how a magnet works. But you tell that to the common idiot, which describes 99.9% of the world, nearly 100%. No! Magnets are in everything. That can't be true. Oh, but it is true, my stupid, stupid, knuckle-dragging, simian lowbrow friend. If we can only define something, and it is not defining things, it is quantifying something by its change over a period of time at a certain vector with x effect, that is a quantification of a principle, but it never defines or explains the principle itself. It's kind of like the only way we could define Bob is how far he's walked with given effect over a period of time at an x vector. Well, Bob walked north 20 paces, and the effect was he expelled 5 joules of energy from the hamburger he ate earlier that day. That is wonderful bullshit. However, that does not define Bob. What is Bob? Well, we don't know anything about Bob. What if Bob were standing still? Like a field. You see, fields never stand still. You get this part? This is really important shit. A field never stands still, nor we could define a field in itself. Ever heard anybody that is familiar with philosophy knows about a thing in itself. Okay? There's a neat little German phrase for that too, which escapes me right now. A thing in and of itself is like, what is it in and of itself? Not what it does. Yeah. What is a thing in and of itself? Math has never defined a field. It can't define, all the world wars throughout history are due to love or hate or, Are you going to quantify that? There's no math equation for love or hate, nor is there a math equation for magnetism or any other field modality. Electricity, magnetism, dielectricity, inertia, i.e. acceleration or dielectricity. Sure there is. No, there is not. People desperately want to understand things, which only exist through explanations. But explanations only exist in the minds of those who have wisdom. And nobody has wisdom anymore. Well, how do you define it? Well, here's the equation for that. No, that's an equation defining effect and change and vector. It doesn't define the essa. What is essa? The thing in and of itself, like there we get the word essence. It's like, what's the essence of what the hell it is? It's like, what's the essence of a criminal? Evil. Evil defines the essence of a criminal or something else, right? The essa. So what's the essa of a field? Descriptions are not explanations. Math is the quantification of things over time with certain effects and certain vectors. Math never defines anything, and it certainly never explains anything. Possibilities come first from what is possible to imagine. Creation has no measure like a field, it has no quantity. Its limit is unlimit, or in ancient Greek, aoristos. I wrote a nice little article on the definition of that term in ancient Neoplatonism, aoristos dias. People that know the measure of everything and the meaning of nothing are rampant today, more so than they ever were in the past. People want desperately for things to be explained. They want to know how the universe works. And then the scientist whips out a book of equations, and you have to tell that person to go F themselves, because that is not an explanation. Everything in nature, the same thing as human emotions, work off of fundamental principles of force and motion, inertia and acceleration. Since I do a lot of videos on photography, photography works the same way. It either stops you, it repels you, or it impels you. All of those are valid because they indicate the photograph has caused change. It either caused you to stop, it either caused you to repel or impel. Okay? Centrifugal divergence, repulsion, centripetal convergence draws you in. It's like, wow, let me look at that. Or it stops you. Human emotions are no different than field modalities. Nature is so fundamental. When you have enough wisdom and you're able to see the entire picture, kind of like Bob Ross, he's already got the picture in his brain before he's painted it, right? Well, maybe not him. He actually just kind of does things free-handed, doesn't he? So that maybe is a bad example. That's the only artist that I know of, especially who does videos. That's little happy little trees, Bob Ross. Oh, let's put another little happy tree here. Yeah. When he has an accident with his brush, he just like, well, there's no accidents. We're just gonna, it was meant to be there the whole time. Math doesn't explain anything. It only quantifies. There is not a single book, nor a single equation, nor a single bit of math that ever explains anything. People like Nikola Tesla, Walter Russell, A.K. Kumaraswamy, Plotinus, Dematius, Plato, Proclus, Numenius, Syrianus. These are the hardcore monists. These are the people that explain how things work. This is what people want to know. If you're building something, you need to know the quantifications. Well, it needs to be a certain parameter, and for this part to fit into this, we need to whip out the digital calipers, and we need it. Yeah. Everything starts up here, and what starts up here is never math. It is the idea, the eidos. An idea has nothing to do with math. It's like when people invent shit. When people invent shit, math is not part of anything that is invented. People have an idea, boom, instantaneous, not always instantaneous. Sometimes they're building stuff in their mind. Math is not a part of that. Everything starts with math is bean counting. You know what a bean counter is? It's kind of like someone does your taxes, a bean counter. Math doesn't explain anything, it only quantifies. And the important fact that you don't realize is with all our wonderful little gadgets and bullshit, computers and electronics and iPads, and all sorts of electronic stuff shoved up your butt and our butt, and everybody's got something shoved up their butt. Electronic, right? I don't take that literally. Science does not understand or explain anything that is fundamentally desirable by humanity to know the nature of what is the essa, what is the essence of what it is. What is this nature of being, and how does it operate? You know, what is the modus operandi of, like, a field? How does it exist? Why does it exist? A field, by the way, is not a thing. A field has no quantification. It is a inertia or ether or field perturbation. So people talk about waves. Well, everything is waves. You know, it's not energy, it's waves. Like, waves of what? A wave is not what something is. A wave is what something does. Like, this is something. Yeah? This is something moving. It's waving. Every time someone uses the word wave, I go, what is waving? A wave is an action. It's like, what's the essa? When it's not waving, well, like, what about a field? Yeah, what about a field? Electrical, magnetic. Yeah, when it's not waving, what is it? Well, we can't measure it. So you have absolutely nothing, then all of a sudden there's something. It's like, how do you measure it? Well, we have math for that. Once it starts moving, let's say, where's the math for the shit when it's not moving? That's what you should always ask a scientist too. You just act like an idiot, even though you're not an idiot. And then bring up fields. Like, do we have equations for fields? Yeah, sure we do. Electrical magnetic fields. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We can quantize that. Yeah, we can quantify it. We can quantize it. I said, what about when a field is not moving? They're like, what? Just ask them about... That's always the question. Just ask anybody that thinks they really know it all. And the people in math and science, they always think they know it all, and they're total dumbasses. From asshole to elbow, they are hubristic dumbasses. Just ask them about shit doesn't move. Talk about fields or magnetism. So what about magnetism? Yeah, okay, let's discuss. We have an equation for that. Okay, now let's talk about the essa of magnetism, or the essa of electricity, or the essa of dielectricity. What do you mean? I talk about the thing in and of itself. When it's not moving, let's describe it. That doesn't compute. I don't know what you're talking about. Well, you're talking about waves. I'm talking about, like, the water when it's not moving. You know, because a wave is not a thing. A wave is what something does. Like, this is waving. Like, no, asshole, that's my hand moving. No, that's a wave. No, that's my hand moving. You're calling this activity waving. Let's talk about this. See, this is literally how bad science is. It's like science can't talk about this. If this is a wave, a field perturbation, okay, science can talk about that. Well, it moves X degrees and X dimensions and vertical axis and is circularly polarized and, like, great. Now let's talk about this. That'll always cause a brain fart and a lockup in the mind. Immediately. You ask a scientist about a field that is not waving or moving, and their brain will go, eh! It doesn't know how to function. It has no answer for it. It's like, let's talk about not this, but let's talk about this. Every scientist on Earth, when you tell them that, they go, eh! Because they don't have an answer, and it's okay not to know the answer. The problem is that these assholes think they do have the answer, when in fact they don't. Because when you ask them the really important questions, the shit that really matters, they're clueless. 100% clueless. And what I've been doing these many years is answering the questions and asking the questions to myself and to the ancients who are long dead using retroductive methodologies and other methodologies, the answers to crap that people don't know the answers to. You see, when people think they know the answers to shit, they don't go looking for the answers to shit. I know the answer. Do you know what a field is? Sure we do. We know what a field is. We got the 4 Maxwellian field equations. 4 Maxwellian field equations never define a field. Maxwellian field equations describe this and this and this and this, but it never describes this. Never explains this. A field in and of itself, the essa. And when you realize that, you can just sit right on the top of their heads. Okay? And just watch them squiggle and worm. It's like, what's a field, Professor? Well, no, I'm talking about a field in and of itself. Like, what do you mean? I'm talking about not this field or that field or this field. I'm talking about this. Their brains will always go, eh! They have no answer. They're idiots. See, you think science and all these people are so intelligent and so advanced because they've given us crap like this and like this and like this. And fundamentally, they don't know. It's like somebody that knows how to shape Play-Doh into a million different things, but they don't know what the hell Play-Doh is. Play-Doh, you know that crap, you know the clay stuff. It's like, we can make it into this and do this with it and that. It's like, what is Play? We don't know, but we know how to make crap out of it. That is where science is today. What about electricity? I don't know. We know how to generate it. We know how to move it. We know how to, yeah, but we don't know what it is in and of itself. No. Sure, it exists at X cycles at a certain rate with X amperage and Y voltage. No, let's just talk about this. Oh, we don't have an answer for that. That's right, you don't, because you're an idiot. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, it would be very nice of you to drop a buck or two, because I live very simply. Believe it or not. Oh my God, I live simply. Yeah, I even worry about, like, you know, should I buy the mango juice or not? That stuff's kind of expensive. Thank you. Bye.